Are you ready to go oval racing, short track racing? It is time to bring the action. Good start, Sebastian Bourdais. Hunter Ray goes wide. Is he too wide?
Look at Hunter Ray slicing and dicing to the inside of Hinchcliffe. Hunter Ray is on the charge up front. Bourdais trying to check out already.
Don't know how much this is going to affect everybody in the field, but Bourdais did one less pace lap than everybody else, and that might pay off in fuel mileage. That would be a big advantage on a road course, but we'll see tonight with tires and fuel burn here.
That was Alexander Rossi making a move on Newgarden as we ride on board with Hinchcliffe. There goes Newgarden.
Whoa, big move on the outside.
Hunter Ray in that yellow and red DHL Andretti Autosport machine, third car in shot, not afraid to go high, not afraid to go low. RHR is a short track specialist. He was frustrated with qualifying yesterday. Let's see what the Indy 500 and Series champion can do here tonight.
How about his teammate Lee, Marco Andretti, the biggest mover so far. He went high just like Hunter Ray. Here we're on board with Marco. It looks like he just lost a position. Marco gained several spots. He's up 4 from his original starting position. Didn't sound too good on the shift.
2 downshifts out of the corner. He's got Dixon now all over the back of him. So we go on board, going for the high line right away. That wheel getting loose around the outside.
He didn't have a whole lot of grip with it. You could tell he got in there and wanted to make sure it was going to stick before he laid into the throttle, but we're back up front.
You know what? All the talk is about his grandfather, Mario's 25th anniversary of his last IndyCar Series win. That was a leaf out of Marco's father, Michael's book. That's what Michael used to do all the time.
Well, Marco's been doing it for years on the short tracks, going big early, and Hunter Ray was kind of the guinea pig up ahead. Now we're watching. I love this nose cam. Look at the sparks coming off Bourdais. You can really get a feel for how the cars lay into the corner and how fast these guys are going around this 1 mile oval.
And they're already turning quick laps. 20.9 on the last lap for the leaders, Pagenaud and Bourdais, both running at the same pace. So speeds are already up at 180 miles an hour average.
Numbers come your way via the Firestone telemetry. Bourdais, Pagenaud, Rossi, Power, and the rookie Robert Wickens in the top 5.
That is tremendous. Your first ever oval race. Robert Wickens figuring out right away how to hang with the big dogs.
Rossi stalking the back of Pagenaud. You see Will Power, Wickens right there hanging onto the back of Will Power. So they've gapped Ryan Hunter-Ray a little bit as 5th, 6th, 7th is spreading out a little bit.
The 29-year-old Canadian, we cannot emphasize this enough. It's his first oval race and only his 2nd IndyCar race. This guy is good. He is very good.
Now keep in mind we're on lap 9. Tires are still fresh. The next 40 laps are the really hard part for Robert Wickens. Why? Because he has no experience in race trim, in race conditions with the controls available to him. The weight jacker and the anti-roll bars. He told me earlier, I just don't know what those things do until I try it, and that's going to happen right now.
Well, what's going to happen real soon here is we're going to start seeing some lap traffic because Chilton is running at 22.5 seconds. The leader's in the high 20s. So last year we had no traffic. Everybody pretty much ran the same speed front to back. And I think we're going to see a lot more traffic, which is going to open up opportunities for guys to make picks and set up passes. And we're going to see some more passing.
Biggest change year over year, obviously the aero kit. Now a unified aero kit. No longer is it Honda and Chevy. So the degradation of the tires is much more aggressive.
Marty?
Lee, we talked about the nerves for Sebastian Bourdais before qualifying. Remember, he got out of the car visibly shaking, and then the incident before the race even started. It went into stall mode. They had to get out of that mode, and now there's maybe more problems on the 18. Take a listen on the radio.
Sebastian, right now we do not have the telemetry because of the car reboot, so you're going to be in charge of controls and wheel. You're going to have to do it on your own here.
So it'll all be in his hands tonight, and what effect will that have, Townsend, on the team? Might be a bigger deal at a road course, but nonetheless, they will not have telemetry for that 18 tonight, coming from the car to the pit stand.
Marty, the hardest part about that's going to be fuel tonight. Making sure the team understands where they are on fuel, and they're going to have to rely on Sebastian Bourdais reporting back to the pit stand on the information he's seen on the wheel.
And what they're going to have to do is do it the old school way back in the days when Mario won here. Your engineer and your fuel guy are going to have to be counting the amount of fuel out of the tank, what's gone in the tank, and they're going to have to reverse engineer everything rather than relying on telemetry.
you know, I think Ryan's comments the other night reflect most of the drivers in the field right now, which is that he said, if you told me I was in last place in practice, I would have believed you. That's how bad it felt. That's what a handful I'm dealing with. I think and he was fourth at the time. Every driver dealing with a similar situation, trying to make the best of very difficult conditions.
Well, the guy right now that I'm watching is Rossi. He is all over the back of Pagano looking for a way by. So he's been fast all weekend. He is right now hunting and searching for a way by Pagano as they sit here in this lap traffic.
You know, one of the cool things about this 2018 season is, guys, is the variety already that we've seen from 1 1/4 rounds. And that is, it's not all Penske, 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 Ganassi, 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 Ganassi. Because look at the variety here. You've got Coyne, you've got Penske, you've got Andretti Autosport, Schmidt Peterson.
And how about the 5 rookies?
Big run,
I mean,
big
Wickens,
run right here.
Alexander Rossi thought about it.
Pagano's having none of those.
Oh, on the apron.
How fantastic are these new cameras? That was really close to Rossi losing it. That left front got over the white line onto the different banking, the less banking of the apron, and unhinged the car.
That shows you the difference between an IndyCar and a NASCAR. NASCAR guys run all over that apron, Marty, and these IndyCars, you touch that and you nearly lose it.
As you saw, there is a car in the wall, and it is the 21-year-old rookie, Pietro Fittipaldi, grandson of Formula One world champion, kart champion, and Indy 500 winner Emerson. This is his first IndyCar Series race, first oval race in an IndyCar, and had qualified well and was running really well. What went wrong, guys?
Already high in the corner, way high in the middle of 3 and 4, and you can see there's probably a ton of tire dust and desert dust up high off the line.
Not a huge contact, but team radio came on and said stop it on track, and it looked like he just broke a toe link in the rear, and the rear tire was wobbling around. And if it was me, I would have drove it in and see if they could fix it and get more laps, get some more experience tonight. But he's climbing out.
So it has been a race led all the way by the first car you see in shot, Sebastian Bourdais. Pit stops are ready to happen, and Marty Snyder is there.
Yeah, Lee, Sebastian Bourdais has led every lap so far in this race, and he said, you know, I think everybody's just having their hands full out here. They asked him, do you want any changes to the car? He said, no, I think I can make all the changes I need from inside the car. No, he hits his front tire changer and knocks him over, and he's so close to the wall. I'm not sure they're going to be able to get that tire changed for Sebastian Bourdais. And you hear them saying, focus on the job, get the pit stop done, Kevin.
Up front, Will Power comes in. Robert Wickens right in front of him. Power said he wants no wing change, and he gets out first out of everyone. Then it's Joseph Newgarden, followed by the 2 Schmidt Peterson teammates and boyhood friends, and it looks like Wickens is just barely in front of Hinchcliffe.
What a move from Team Penske. Will Power gaining 3 positions.
Terrible situation for Bourdais. You know, we were down on the track this time for the open of the show, and these pit boxes were very slick, concrete. He just locks up the left front, and you hear Craig Hansen, Bourdais' race engineer, jump right on the radio. He knows Bourdais feels terrible, and he's saying, hey, don't worry, he's fine. Stay focused. We'll get right back in this thing.
Barely locked the tires up. It wasn't a big lockup. He barely locked it on that concrete. You see Rossi, he comes in, locks it. Same thing. Hits his crew guys as well. So 2 of the fastest guys all weekend have now, with small mistakes, put themselves at the back of the field.
So this has been a dramatically shuffled order due to what went down on that opening round of pit stops, with Sebastian Bourdais going back, Alexander Rossi going back, Simon Pagenaud dropping, and up the front you see Will Power and Joseph Newgarden, and the green flags. Let's go back to racing in Phoenix.
3 wide there. Scott Dixon backing out. Here comes Hunter Ray again to the high side in the yellow DHL car, going big.
That's been his signature move tonight, and it's working. Now Wickens is the next one on his list.
Pagenaud made the same move on the outside. Oh, it's tight down in there on the apron. So that was a very close maneuver there, but first, second, and third before the pit stops have all moved their way to the back, so they're going to have to fight hard. As we see, Leist, they're making a move. He got on the apron. He had to block that guy at turn 1. I think it was Ray Hall.
I think that was Ray Hall on Tony Kanaan. Ray Hall on Tony Kanaan. Those 2 have some history. Kanaan was the one down on the apron, I think, that had to back out of it. So it's getting fierce in the midfield. On board now with Graham Ray Hall.
Rossi has gotten by Bourdais. He's in the 14th behind his teammate. As we see now, Bourdais coming in, so he's got a problem.
This might be a penalty.
And that's what it is, guys. All of these guys who slid through their stalls and made contact with their crew members now have to serve a drive-through penalty. Sebastian Bourdais, also Alexander Rossi is going to have to come down pit road. Sebastian Bourdais, just for his team, Isaac Townsend was that left front tire changer. He is fine. He went from 1st to 13th. Now with the penalty, he'll go back further. Simon Pagenaud also slid through his stall. As you see, Alexander Rossi serving his penalty. Pagenaud slid through his stall as well and also lost a right rear wheel nut. So as you mentioned, Deft, a lot of changes on this pit stop, I should say, and we'll see how these penalties play out for these drivers.
Yeah, for the guys who are running up at the front, they're suddenly finding themselves at the back of the pack. This will be quite the comeback story if they can pull it off. And Will Power of Team Penske leads the way in the Verizon machine over Joseph Newgarden, his teammate. And guys, I don't think we can speak more highly enough of the Canadian Robert Wickens, the rookie who has never raced on an oval before, the 29-year-old who comes this way from the DTM, the German Touring Car Series. Those cars are beasts, and he has adapted to open wheel racing like he's been doing it for years.
Oh, he said he wasn't surprised at all how well it went for him at St. Petersburg. Again, this is a guy with high-level racing experience, but he was frankly surprised that he's been so quick here on his very first oval, qualifying 6th. The goal coming in, just run the laps, not put it in the wall, and get a top 10 finish. And he said even with the good qualifying effort, that goal has not changed. He was still very conservative in that. Just finish on the lead lap, and here he is with a chance to finish on the podium.
And remember that while this is the first oval of the season, the next one is the Brickyard. And Taku had the best day of his life winning the 2017 Indy 500. And he has been a very well celebrated Indy 500 champion globally, I have to say.
And in Japan especially, he was already hugely celebrated as a Formula One driver, IndyCar accomplishments, but to win the Indy 500 now, he's full rock star.
Hey PT, how you loving this nose cam?
I love it. I mean, watch the cars up close. We're on board here now with Zach Veach, and he is working on the back of, I can't tell what car that is. Chilton, maybe? It's hard to tell.
I think that's Marco, perhaps, his teammate. I see the white engine cover. And I think, guys, one of the things that you have to look is Veach is the biggest mover of the race, up 9 positions. Marco Andretti up 7. I think this right here is where it gets really dodgy. That is Will Power going past Charlie Kimball to put him another lap down, and Kimball has got to be so paranoid to get back into the groove because all this tire degradation, we're doing laps in the 23-second range. All the rubber that gets worn off goes only one place, Paul, to the high side of the track. Everybody's running a very narrow groove, so you have to be super careful if you're on the high side, being passed or making a pass.
Charlie has his teammate from Carlin Racing right behind him. There is Max Chilton. Both drivers are just one lap down because Kimball got back on the lead lap on a different pit sequence to what the front runners did. So that move you saw just there just put Charlie down the 1 lap. As it's Power, Newgarden, Wickens. That hasn't changed up front. 2 Penskes, then the Schmidt Peterson machine, then Ryan Hunter-Reay, then James Hinchcliffe. That's the way the top 5 works at the moment. But Will Power is looking strong.
He's now picking his way through this lap traffic. Spencer Pigot right in front of him. Gabi Chavez right in front of Spencer. So it looks right now to me, Townsend, that he's got the best car in traffic of anybody. He's popped out to make a move.
And guys, imagine the behind-the-wheel strategy and the strategy on the pit stand as well. Townsend, behind the wheel, you're feeling those tires are completely gone at this point, and you're wanting to come to pit road right now like all of these drivers. The track has gone through a swing. All the drivers talking about how there's no grip on the racetrack, and these tires are gone, but you want to stay out as long as you can, maybe to lap 120, but I think some guys are going to start coming now, like Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Here comes Hunter-Reay. Nobody wants to pit early, though, to be vulnerable to a yellow flag. Hunter-Reay's the first.
And it's been a strong run for Ryan Hunter-Reay, who was one of those very uncertain what was going to be available and how the car would perform, but it's to his liking so far. You see a little bit of a front wing change, and they had to go back up with a problem on the right rear, so losing precious track position under green that time.
Be interesting to see if Hunter Ray can make any moves in traffic. Now a lap down, close to 2 laps down. Here comes Hinchcliffe.
Also a very strong run going for James Hinchcliffe, who has been trying to get the car settled in. He said last night, I think we found what we like. Sunoco fuel for James Hinchcliffe and fresh Firestones. We'll see if there's any kind of a front wing adjustment, and they will not make one. Hinchcliffe is back out.
There is Ed Carpenter in the Fuzzy's Vodka Chevrolet, serviced and sent. Here comes Robert Wickens, the second Schmidt Peterson car, after running third for a good portion of laps behind the Penske pair of Will Power, Joseph Newgarden.
And what a story this has been. One thing to run on the street course that he's more familiar with. First oval for Robert Wickens, and his second pit stop of the night is a clean one. Wickens is back out, Marty.
You see the 2016 winner at Phoenix, Kevin, coming down pit road. Scott Dixon, Mike Hull making the call here because pit road very clean here for Dixon, who's one of the many drivers who said there's just absolutely no grip. The longer you run on these tires, you're going to see an air pressure and a large wing adjustment for Scott Dixon, Katie.
And Kyle Kaiser making just the second stop of his Verizon IndyCar Series career, and he stalls the car, but he is off and down away again. As we see Ed Jones also making his stop there. Looks like he also has a slow one. His team guys have to get him off pit lane. And Marco Andretti also making his stop. He was screaming over the radio that he was unhappy with the car. Brian Herta, his strategist, reminding him this stint was much longer than the first one, but they gave him some added tire pressure to fix his problems. As we also see Spencer Pigot making his stop there as they fill him all the way up with Sunoco fuel and a little bit of a longer stop, Lee.
Katie, thank you. And here is Matheus Leist for AJ Foyt Racing, the 19-year-old Brazilian rookie. Been a steep learning curve, but so far so good.
And Lee, see Joseph Newgarden coming in, first of the real top 5 cars coming in, and he said, I need a lot of front wing. He said, I just can't pass without that front wing. The track has gone through a dramatic swing, so they put more front wing in, a little bit of a push for Joseph Newgarden in that one car. Oh, and a tire loose on pit road, Lee.
Oh no, just after we said so far so good, it is not for the rookie, Matheus Leist.
He's still in pit lane, so it looks like he lost the tire in the pit lane. Whoa, watch out for that guy. But he wants to get back around, but it looks like the tire came off and he spun out in the pit lane. But these guys definitely got a lucky break that pitted early, because if the yellow would have came out, it really would have messed up the race, as we see Bourdais now coming in for his second pit stop.
A race that promised so much, and of course there's still so much more to come, but for Sebastian Bourdais, Marty, the story all went away.
Yeah, and that's a tough break for this team. And pitting, they were 11 seconds behind the leader. They'll likely go 2 laps down here when they do make this stop. There goes James Hinchcliffe by for the first time. We'll see where he cycles out, but this will likely put the man who sat on the pole today, Sebastian Bourdais, down 2 laps here at Phoenix.
How about what's going on up front? James Hinchcliffe first, Robert Wickens second. It's a Schmidt Peterson 1-2. It is Team Canada, if you wish. The 2 drivers from Ontario, the 2 good friends. And up until recently, Wickens was actually staying at Hinchcliffe's house until he got his own place sorted out in Indianapolis.
And the first race of the season, this team was absolutely the measure of the field in terms of race pace. Wickens obviously with pole position, almost winning the thing in his first try. Hinchcliffe was very strong there, so it's been an amazing start to the season for this 2-car team.
I'll tell you the guy you got to watch right now that's just out of the picture screen here, the yellow car, which is about 2 car lengths behind. You watch Hunter Ray, so he is moving forward again.
One of the big changes at Schmidt Peterson this year for James Hinchcliffe, Lena Gard. Lena comes from the unbelievably successful Audi Sport operation in sports car racing, World Endurance, and Le Mans. She engineered a Le Mans winning car. She is an incredibly talented engineer, so much experience on a global level. She says, I'm so looking forward to learning all about IndyCar. And so far, Lena, the results are proving to be fantastic.
And don't forget, much like Wickens, Lena has never engineered a car on an oval. So this is her first oval engineering gig, and it's going fabulously.
Believe me, there's a lot of calculation going on down here. So they pitted about 10 laps earlier than the leaders did. It was a 4-second flip in those 10 laps. So they flipped the track position and put themselves out front, but everyone else has now noted that. So how early do you push it? That's the big key of what everybody's trying to figure out down here.
Wickens' teammate.
James Hinchcliffe just got high, and his rookie teammate sliced right underneath of him and took advantage of that.
Robert Wickens led the most laps at St. Petersburg a month ago, and now in his very first oval race in an IndyCar, he leads the Phoenix Grand Prix.
Not only does he lead, he's pulling away. This is unprecedented for a rookie to show up totally green on oval racing like this and be racing to the front and now making moves on his much more experienced teammate and guys like Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's up to third.
He had a goal of saying, he said, if I could just finish in the top 10 at the end of the night, that will be great. Now that's what happened there. James Hinchcliffe got balked by Gabby Chavez in the Harding Group car, and that enabled Robert Wickens to slide on by.
I tell you what, he timed that perfectly. That was using the traffic to your advantage, and that's an experienced move right there by Wickens.
Well, now we get to see what does Wickens do with Gabby Chavez. Wickens now in the exact same position, and that just shows you how risky it can be to try to make something happen here and have to check up and lose all the momentum.
And I'll tell you what, Gabby will not be an easy guy to get a lap down because he's got some old school players running his team. We got to let the guys know who's running that team over there, Townsend.
And guys, I believe it's going to be Newgarden who's going to be in the lead. Tim Cindric said, hey, we're going to be in the lead. We just need to save a little bit of fuel here. His teammate Simon Pagenaud coming down pit road. Kyle Moore making the interesting call to stay out a little bit longer. He told him, I want you to run as hard as you can. A lot of understeer when they're in traffic, so they were taking advantage of that clean air and a longer stop. 8-6 on the stop for the 22 team. We'll see where he cycles out when he goes back out on the track.
He's going to cycle well down the field. Back up front, there's Robert Wickens chasing Ed Jones in the blue NTT car. And where is Pagenaud? He is well down, showing in 12th right now.
We talked to a lot of guys. We'll see Graham Rahal come in. We watch to see if they make a wing change. It's 1/4 of a degree of front wing when these guys make a change. So that's how sensitive these cars are. When you make one half of a turn on the front wing, it's only 1/4 of a degree.
Alexander Rossi, the story of the second half of that run. You guys mentioned it. Put himself back on the lap, on the lead lap, and look at that stop. 7-4 on what could be the last stop of the night for this 2017. He was down a lap early on. He has fought his way back on the lead lap. And this is the guy, Lee, who brushed the wall at lap 139. He's got a rocket ship. We'll see where he cycles out here and if he can contend for the win.
It was a beautiful display of just calming himself down, refocusing, regrouping, and got on with it better than anybody else on the track. He was flying just when it was looking so good for Chip Ganassi Racing's Ed Jones in his second full season in IndyCar. The driver from Dubai has walled it.
Here's the question, who goes to pit lane?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go, but I think Bourdais going to stay out.
Newgarden's not going. I don't think Wickens is going to go. I think if you look back at Hunter-Reay, Kanaan.
There we go.
There you
go.
go.
Wickens stays out. Wickens stays out.
Rossi's now third.
I'm
Bourdais
surprised
stays
Newgarden
out.
did that. There's a lot of cars to pass now for Newgarden.
What do you make of this, Marty?
Tim Cindric had no hesitation. He said this is going to be a good old-fashioned Saturday night shootout for 13 laps. So fresh tires for Joseph Newgarden. No changes on the car. Very happy with it. 6-1 on the stop.
Think back to Iowa, fresh tires. Think back to Texas, fresh tires, as we see Wickens now laid out with his fresh tires.
This is a different kind of racetrack, though, Paul. Not that easy to go side by side as Hunter-Reay races Dixon for position. Dixon beats him.
Sato and Pagenaud and Rahal.
And there was a lot of debate from different teams, including the Schmidt Peterson teams. We saw the tires out for Robert Wickens, but they decided to stay out. Listening to James Hinchcliffe, they thought about it. He said, I don't want to give up the track position because I'm not even sure if you can use that high line with fresh tires, so I want the track position. Hunter-Reay was one of those that came in. They went back and forth. Last second did decide to come in. This is going to be fun for the finish.
Is this history repeating itself? Late race restart, Robert Wickens in front.
Yep.
With everybody chasing.
Look at the brakes glowing.
It's the two teammates, 1 and 2, with the hard-charging Alexander Rossi and the freshly tired Joseph Newgarden in 4th, ready to go. Green flies. Will it be a Wickens victory this time round?
Rossi goes low to defend on Newgarden, but there's no chance. Look at Newgarden going around the outside of 2 cars in 1 corner.
There's the answer.
Telling you, fresh tires are king, but now he's got to focus. He's got to focus on the car in front, and he's got to get it done here in the first couple laps. Take advantage. Big run coming off the corner.
Robert Wickens in his first oval race, racing for the win up against the reigning series champion.
That is a terrific first lap for Robert Wickens on used tires with pickup.
Another big run.
Here comes Joseph.
Big risk for Newgarden to stay up high like that. Will it be enough for Wickens to hold him off? 6 laps to go.
And he's being very decisive about where he's placing his car.
Super smart. If he does that every lap, Newgarden might not have a chance. There goes Newgarden
You
now.
won't find a guy braver than Newgarden. Remember, the move he made on Pagano, he's not afraid to bang wheels.
And this is heads up driving from Robert Wickens. First time on an oval.
Hinchcliffe has disappeared. Rossi is now up to 3rd. Oh, big move on the outside.
There you go. Reigning series champion takes the lead and takes off.
And now he's going to disappear on that fresh set of Firestones. Joseph Newgarden, and now Hinchcliffe's under pressure from Ed Carpenter.
Good run for Ed in his first drive in 2018, putting the pressure on for a top 6 result. Meanwhile, here goes Carpenter, tried it. Hinchcliffe taking the defensive line. Almost the end of the Phoenix Grand Prix, and there's positions up for grabs. Here comes Canaan, goes high. Carpenter blocks slightly. He wants to keep that position.
Both these SBM cars struggling to hold off the fresh tires of all of the other cars on the lead lap. And can Hinchcliffe hang on for a top 6?
Newgarden is now checked out. He's got a 2-second lead. Wickens only has 0.2 of a second over Rossi. Rossi is all over the back.
1 to go for Joseph Newgarden. He's never been on the podium here, and he's less than a mile away from winning.
Scott Dixon now entering the fold. Dixon in 4th, but he's on fresh tires.
Rossi trying to get back-to-back podiums. What a night it's been under the lights here in Phoenix. With a late race restart, fresh tires, Joseph Newgarden wins in Phoenix for the first time in his career. Robert Wickens at his first oval race gets on the podium, and so too does Alexander Rossi. But this is all about Joseph Newgarden in his title defense.
Lee, I think we can call him Mr. Short Oval now, winning the last 2 after that impressive move at St. Louis. He makes an impressive move tonight here at Phoenix on the outside to be able to get that win. I got to know, how confident were you with 7 to go that those new tires would make the difference?
Well, I was confident in the team. You know, I don't think I did anything tonight. I mean, this was a team victory. They gave me the pit stops. They had the strategy. I was working with rocket scientists on the pit stand. Those guys are awesome. But it was team effort, you know, so I wasn't sure. You know, you never know if you make the right call, but they did. They made the right call. It was good we were on the offense. That Firestone rubber is really good when it's new. It's good when it's old too, but I like it better when it's new. So it's really cool to have Verizon on the car for Victory Lane here. Just everyone, all our supporters. Tim, you know, he's making calls. So it's a good night for all of us at Team Penske.
How about that move on the outside? You told me before the race the game had changed. You don't have to be aggressive at short ovals. Was it aggressiveness or patience not to make the move too early that got you the win?
Well, I was patient all night. I mean, I wasn't forcing it. I struggled with the balance in certain parts of the stints. We were just working on the car. The engineers were doing a really good job getting it back, and then I knew when it was time to be aggressive was at the end there, and I just kept trying to understand what Wickens was doing, and I was a little bit nervous about going high there in T1 just because the marbles were building. You don't want to make a mistake going on the outside, but I had to do that. He was defending the inside, and it worked out perfect. So I'm telling you, it's all down to Team Penske tonight. I didn't do anything.
When you look at your 2017, a lot of the success was in the second half of the season. So to defend the championship, how key to win this early in race number 2?
Well, I mean, we got one today. You know, we had a great car. I don't know that I was able to drive it to a victory tonight. I didn't feel like I felt like a podium contender. It was probably more on me. I just couldn't get the balance out of the car. But when you can win on a night like that, that shows the strength of the team. And if we can keep doing that, capitalizing on nights like this, we're going to be just fine for 2018.